Hello students, I hope you all are doing well at your places. Today in this session we are going to discuss a short story from your syllabus, that is The Old Man at the Bridge, and the writer of the story is Ernest Hemingway. Before beginning with the discussion of the story, I would like to give a quick glance at the background. The story The Old Man at the Bridge is set in the backdrop of Spanish Civil War in 1938, and it starts with the description of an old man who was sitting at the bridge. If you see at the first line, an old man, and the description of the old man is given here. There was a pontoon bridge, right? So he was sitting over there on that bridge, and it was a warlike situation as the fascists or the enemies were advancing towards the town. So now moving towards the first stanza of the story, we could clearly see in the first stanza the narrator has given the description of an old man who was wearing steel-rimmed spectacles and was in very dirty clothes, right? He was sitting by the side of the by the side of the road, and there was a pontoon bridge. So the meaning of the pontoon is a temporary bridge which is made for the easy crossing of the people across the river, right? So there was a pontoon bridge made over there across the river so that the people, men, women, children, or the carts and trucks, they could easily cross it, right? Then one more thing is there, that is the narrator of the story is the writer himself, right? Here we'll see the narrator is the soldier, is playing the role of a soldier, and his name is Hemingway over here. So many trucks has grounded up and they were heading towards the next place, right? They were just moving across that bridge. So this old man, he was sitting over there by the side of the river. He was not moving. And why he was not moving? Because he was too tired, as he had already traveled a large distance, right? On further conversation with the narrator, he is going to reveal that he has traveled 12 kilometers from his hometown to this bridge, and as he is very old, so he is unable to move any further. In the second para, we could see the entry of the narrator. It was my business. So the my word stands for the, as it is in the first person, so it stands for the narrator, right? So what was the job of the narrator? To look after the people, to look at the bridge, and to look or to see that till what point the enemy had advanced, right? Then there he saw an old man who was sitting at the bridge, and he had a chat or a conversation with him. The first question which he asked him was that, where did the old man come from? So the name of the old man's town is San Carlos. San Carlos is his native or the town where he was residing, right? And he felt very much pleasure or joy to talk about his town. The next question which the narrator asked him is that what he was doing over there, right? So he was taking care of his animals in his hometown, San Carlos. So further he would inquire about the animals, that what were the animals, why he left his animals, and various other questions would be there, right? So, but this person, this old man, he did not look like a shepherd or a herdsman to the narrator, right? But his clothes were very dusty, even his face was very dusty, right? So what animals were they? There were various animals, right? If we look further down, so there were 3 animals altogether. So what were the animals? There were various animals. In total there were 3 animals. There were 2 goats, a cat, and 4 pair of pigeons. If the question arises that what animals were they, what was the old man doing in his hometown, so the answer would be that he was taking care of various animals, or he was taking care of his animals. And there were 3 animals in all together. There were 2 goats, a cat, and 4 pair of pigeons. Make sure you are going to mark the textual words in your answer, right? Okay. So meanwhile the narrator was watching the bridge and whether or how far the enemies had approached or entered into the district, right? So the next question which he is going to question is that, and you had to leave them, I asked. So the narrator asked him that why he left his animals all alone in his town. So what was his answer? He did so because of the artillery. Now what is the meaning of artillery? The gunfire, right? So it shows that there was a warlike situation in the town. So the answer for the question that why he left the animals or why he left his hometown is that because of the artillery, or the captain has told him to do so or to leave his hometown because of the artillery. Narrator further inquires the old man about his family. He answers that he had no one else except the animals, right? So as I told that he was only worried about his animals, right? So every time this old man is going to question about his animals to the narrator, what will happen to them? What about their well-being? So here see, the cat of course will be all right. A cat can look out for itself, but I cannot think what will become of the others. So the old man told the narrator that a cat is a very intelligent animal, so it could look after itself, right? But what about the other animals? What about the 2 goats and 4 pair of pigeons, right? So even this question, this was also solved by the narrator. See what he said, that if you have left, that did you leave the dove cage unlocked? I asked. Yes, then they will fly. Yes, certainly they will fly, but the others. So here the narrator made the old man clear that if he had left the cage of the dove, that is the pigeons, unlocked, then they will also fly. They will also be safe. But but the old man is still not satisfied. He further questioned that what about the others? Now who is left? Only the goats. So what about those 2 goats, right? Basically the narrator wants to tell us, or the author wants to tell us, that the goats are such animals who are dependent on their master, right? They are very shy. They are not like a cat, which is very intelligent, right? So, or clever. We can use the word clever for the intelligent. So the cats are clever animal. They could look after themselves, but goats cannot do this thing. One more thing, the author has somewhere compared the goats to the old man, or the fate of the goats and the old man's, right? They have kept he has kept it into the in a parallel feet, I would say, over here. Achha, one more important thing, moving back, the narrator questioned the old man about his politics, right? That what political ideas does he hold? So the old man answered him that he is without politics because he is a 76 years old man who has traveled 12 kilometers from his hometown San Carlos to this pontoon bridge. He is very much tired now because of his physical health, and he cannot go any further. So this is the answer for this question, right? Okay, moving further down here, we have discussed about the about the animals, that what would happen to those animals, right? Now the next question which arises over here is that, so the question arises here is that why the old man was so much worried about his animals? Because he was the only one taking care of animals, and there was nobody to take care of his animals. It was his only family, right? Okay. Next thing, the narrator asked the old man that if he has rested, he should get up and move further, right? He should not sit over there because that is not a safe place for him now, because enemies may attack anytime, right? Then the old man, he got up to his feet. He moved, swayed means moved from one side to the other, sat down, back into the dust. But he was not willing to move any further because he was very much tired, one reason. Second reason, because he was the only one taking care of his animals, and he was more worried about his animals than his own life. Now, narrator said to himself that nothing could be done to the old man or with the fate of an old man. It all depends on in the hands of the God. His fate is also compared to the fate of goats, right? Both have same thing. So narrator tells us that as it was a bad day, the weather was not good, was not favorable, it was a grey overcast day, clouds were there in the sky. So this is the reason that the planes of enemy were not up in the sky, plus it was an Easter Sunday, right? So this was the only thing which was favorable for the old man, which is going to protect him for a day or maybe for a few more hours, right? So this was the only good luck that old man would ever have, and his goats also. So this was a very short story which was written by Ernest Hemingway. I hope it is clear to you all. You must go through all the word meanings which are given in your workbook, plus the description, the summary, the analysis which is given before the question answers in the workbook. If there are any queries, you can ask me. Thank you.